Hello, this is the activity for part one of my term project, and I basically wanted to create um, an activity where students who may have attention deficit disorders or anxiety, an activity that they could participate in without having those disabilities necessarily hold them back. So I wanted to give them agency and continuing in the lesson at their own pace. So I kind of created this forest theme, and the pop lines here will be the next and back button, and that's just to go along with the theme. So in Wick Editor, I had to code this to be the button to go to the next page. And I had to do that for every one of them and specify which page I wanted to go to, because some of them, depending on the consequences, you would go to certain different pages. So this is just the next button, and it leads you to the first choice. So you can either choose to get trained or go on the quest. And this I animated also. Ideally, users would choose to get trained first, and it basically goes through the lesson. So this is kind of like a flashlight. Like users would have to be engaged to get the full definition. So it's asking what are conditionals, and it's like a way to check for something, and then they can go back. They can go forward. And then this is just an animation explaining the statements, if and else statements. So if something is true, do this, else do this. And I thought this was an easier way for people to understand the statements before we put in like any kind of coding or decision aspect onto it. And this is just the next button also. And that's just this shooting star that I animated, and I added an example to more clearly state what the last slide did. And then we're just gonna go on next. And then this is just a check-in question, asking them, giving them a prompt and then asking them something. And like, since this involves like knowing what you've seen before, if users aren't quite sure, they can choose to go back and check. Um, and the buttons still apply even if the pop prints don't show up. So it's like you can go back without the pop print being there. And this was just like two decisions. So ideally, Timothy wouldn't go in there, and that would be correct. And I just coded that this group to disappear, and show correct here. And then we're gonna go on to the next slide, and then a little animation to introduce that we're about to learn something else related to this topic. So I created Elsif as a character to make it more fun, and it's kind of waving over here. So I animated these two things, and this is just telling more of Elif, kind of keeping in with the storyline. I animated the fact that it's like floating. More about Elif, kind of breaking it down so that when they see it in the next slides, it's not too much of a difference. And then this is also the same thing that I did before, where just kind of stating the statements in a way that would be easy for users who've never seen this to understand. Then we're going to go next, and then giving an example that would be relatable for most people. And then since we're done with the lesson, users would choose to go on the quest. And the quest basically is like, if they understand how if and else statements work and how elifs work, then they will be able to do this. So you're only supposed to click on the red and blue balls, and they'll disappear as you click on them. And the object of the, oh, okay, a little too early, but when you click on the yellow ball, because you're not supposed to do that, I made all the yellow balls buttons, and they will automatically go to this page when you click on them, because you're not supposed to, and you just have to start over. And that's a button to go back to this page. And this, ideally, users would finish all of it, but I couldn't quite find a way to make it so that the next button wouldn't show up until you finish this, so users could go ahead at any time, but they really shouldn't. And the object was to find the good in the forest, so the yellow ball spelled out good. And then once you found it, into this, also going along with the theme, and then I animated the sun to like kind of do this display thing, and then this button just goes back to the home page to start all over. And that is my project.
Let's go. That shit knowledge. I think I'm gonna gain some knowledge. What are conditions? What are they? Oh shit. A way to check for something. Facts. Probably. Right. If you're hungry, eat.
Yes.
Facts. Interesting.
Okay, you can start. I can use the mouse too.
What should I click?
Whatever you think you should click.
Yeah. Oh, it does say that. Ready for the integer type. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that's that part. Alright, this last O.
You see, you understood it better than me. Like I can explain it.
Alright, that's the last O.
You know this. I don't know this.
Oh.
The last O.
No, not that O.
Oh, it's because graph has S is Mindy.
And it goes over. Is Timothy a human or no?
Okay, so that's not done.
Because I'm like, why you guys?
We had to always
What are you doing? You're the sports club.
There's something on there. Okay. Oh, you can cook it, but that side is not done.
I know. Give me 2 seconds.
So, what'd you think?